Union and Union All in SQL Server. Hi, I'm M. Asif Hussain from KnowHow Academy. What are we going to learn from this video? We are going to see what is meant by union, what is meant by union all, what is the difference between union and union all in SQL Server with few examples. So before directly jumping into the topic, let me give you a very basic understanding what exactly is union. When I talk to you something about union, in the name itself we have union, it's joining, it's combining, right? So whenever I'm talking about union, it is meant by joining. Joining cannot happen with one thing, right? It might be anything, one table, one thing, or if you cannot clap without joining two hands, am I right? So union and union all, these are nothing but they combine together of a result set with the select queries that we have written, or in a basic or a very easy way of explaining this one is combining two select queries. Now when I talk to you something about union will give us the result set by removing the duplicate rows that we have in a select query. But union all, it will give us the complete result set without removing any duplicate rows from a select query. Okay. So to make you understand very easily, let me show you with some examples. So I have two tables here, customer table and a client table. So if I execute it, you can see that I have a customer name, column, I have customer email column and ID column. And in the client table also, I have ID column, client name column and client email column. So if we carefully observe this one, customer ID number 1 is Asif. Customer ID number 2 is Raj, customer ID number 3 is Ajay, customer ID number 4 is Karnav, right? Now if I talk to you about client table, client ID number 1 and the client name is Mittal, client ID number 2, client name is Krupali, client ID number 3, client name is Rinsi, client ID number 4, the client name is Karnav. So if you carefully observe, we have the customer name also and we have a client name also, right? So here in the customer table, we have ID number 4 customer is also Karnav and the same customer is also the client of the business. That's why we have the Karnav name here in the client table also. So Karnav at gmail.com in the customer table, Karnav at gmail.com from my client table also. So Karnav is common here, right? So now what we have to do? Many of those who are those who are attending the interviews in SQL Server, and if you have kept your skill set as SQL Server, then you have to expect one question from union or union all whenever you are attending for any interviews. So this is a very basic thing. This is a very easy thing that you can learn in SQL Server. So the point here is that if you learn this union, learning the joins concept will be very easy for you. Alright, so union is almost similar to joins but not completely similar to joins. Alright, so now what I told you, in the union it will give us the result set by removing the duplicate rows. So what is the duplicate row here? Karnav is a duplicate row. If I try to club these two particular tables, these two particular queries, right? So now see here what I'm trying to do. I am writing select star from customer, union, select a star from client. Okay, so just you have to add union here. So now when I am executing it, you can see that Asif, Mittal, Krupali, Raj, Ajay, Rinsi and Karnav. Karnav we have only one particular row. If you observe here, ID number 1 or 2, ID number 2 or 2, ID number 3 or 2, but ID number 4 is only 1. What union has done? Union has removed the duplicate row from a table. So this for Karnav at gmail.com, it might have removed from the client table because the first table we have chosen is customer, right? And the second table we have is client. So if you see here, customer first name is Asif and the client name is Mittal, right? So that's how it is coming up. So in the same way, if I try to choose union all, if I try to write union all here, so when I'm writing union all, what's happening? We can see that 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 rows from the customer table. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 rows from the client table. Both have come in the result set. So it did not remove the duplicates. It did not remove the duplicates. This you have to understand. Now the major difference between this union and union all is that union, it will remove the duplicate rows. Union all, it will give us the entire result set. It will not remove the duplicate rows. But when I try to ask you about which one is faster, in getting the result set. Okay, so for that, if I would like to show it to you, if I choose union and if I try to execute it, I am getting what? I am getting the result set by removing the duplicates. Now let us see this execution plan. If I see the execution plan, it is taking some 63% of time in the whole execution in order to sort which is the distinct value. Are you getting my point? What it is doing, it is taking 63% of my overall time when I am trying to execute the query. 63% of time it is taking in what? In identifying which is the unique value, which is the distinct value. It is sorting out. That's where it is taking 63% of time. Now, if I choose union all and if I execute it, if I see the execution plan, there is no sorting here. So that's why I am getting the result set very faster. Okay, that's why I'm getting the result set very faster. So there is no time which is purely taking to only sort. It is taking me to just scan it and get the information from my select queries that I have written. So union and union all. Now there is one more interesting point that you have to consider is if I do not want to take, okay, if I do not want to take star here, if I would like to choose the column names. So for example, if I go with the ID column, if I go with the customer name column, okay, then if I go with the customer email column from customer table, and rather than going with every column from a client table, I go with the ID column, then I'll go with the client name column, then I'll go with the client email column. Okay, so now if I try to execute it, yes, I'm getting the same answer, but there is one small twist here. Okay, so what union and union all they expect is that you cannot write the column names however you want. You need to map it with the two tables, right? So you are mapping integer with the integer, you are mapping varchar with the varchar. So for example, ID with the ID, customer name with the client name, customer email with the client email. Now for instance, if I write some ID here at the last and if I try to execute it, it is giving me some error. What it is telling? Conversion failed while I am converting the varchar value as if to the data type integer. Okay, integer. It is why it is getting an error? Customer name, it is getting mapped with ID which is not relevant. This is varchar data type and this is integer data type. Are you getting my point? So you have to write it in a sequence. However you want, like a zigzag way, we cannot write we cannot pick up the column names however we want. Now what I'm trying to do, rather than choosing customer name here, let us write in this way. Rather than choosing customer name here, I will write customer name at last after my email. Let us see whether we will get it or not. Okay, so what I'm trying to do, I'm trying to execute it. I'm getting the result set, but see here, customer email, then the customer names, customer email, then the customer names, right? Customer name and client name. So for example, in the customer table, I'm taking customer email, and the client table, I'm getting client name. Are you getting my point? So what's happening here? Email column is getting mapped with the name column is getting mapped with the email column. Okay, so that's where it's very interesting thing, because varchar data type is getting mapped with the varchar but not with the ID, not with the integer. So you have to be very careful whenever you are trying to show some individual columns in your result set. If you are choosing star, it's very simple, it is going to get mapped automatically in the backend part, right? So union and union all. So if I talk to you about the difference between, then you can tell that, sir, the same thing we will use in joins also. The same thing we can choose joins also. So my dear viewers, so when I'm talking about the difference between union to the joins, the difference is that in union what's happening, it is removing the duplicate rows and it is giving us the result set in a row by row basis. But in a joins, what it is happening, we are joining columns where it is coming it in a column wise basis. 2 or more columns we are joining it. Here rows. Okay, that is a difference, union and join. So if I talk about merge query in Power BI, then we go with the merge query is nothing but joins. Okay, you can take a simple example of joins, but append it is in a row by row basis. So please make sure that whenever we are telling the difference between union and union all, please, it is very clear that, okay, duplicates it is removing in union, it is giving the complete result set in the union all right. So many of the interviews, the basic question that they might ask you from SQL Server is the difference between union and union all, and how do you use union or union all to get the result set using two queries. So that's the difference between union and union all and how to use it in SQL Server. So thank you for choosing KnowHow Academy as your source for IT knowledge. We are always here to help you to navigate the tech world. If you have any questions, do not hesitate to reach out. It's been a pleasure sharing this information with you. Stay curious and keep learning.